You're watching Much Ado About Something today, and I'm Donna. Thank you for joining me today. If you've been around for a while, welcome. You're always welcome, and I'm glad you're coming back. And if you're new around here, you're also welcome. I hope you find something that interests you and can help you in some way today in this video. Well, today's video is going to be about starting seeds, and it's going to be about what's going on around here. Now, it's a beautiful morning. The birds are chirping. I'm outside in the front yard. There are people mowing, and there will be other things going on because, you know, I live in the city. I'm on a small city lot here. And, of course, there are things that you can only see in the city. It looks like my neighbor's dogwood's doing great over there, so it don't look like anything, the cold bothered it too much. There's a lawnmower going down the road. Somebody drove their lawnmower to get gas. If you hear that sound in the background, maybe you can see it right down there. But it was pretty loud going by. Well, I see that the elderberry's doing great. The cold hasn't affected it. It's got its pretty little white blooms on there. Of course, I didn't plant this plant for its blooms. I planted it for its beautiful, beautiful, bright lime green foliage. There's plenty of bees that's already on this. It got down below 30 degrees. The tea trees we planted, they look great. I am going to water them today. They're looking a little dry. The cold did bother the irises. Their life has not been as long as it normally would have been without that cold snap. The redbud trees are still looking great. I thought for sure that they would have been bit back. But if you wanted to harvest some more redbud now, we could do that because there's still plenty on there and they look great. Now the wisteria, it looks like it suffered some. It was beautiful. If you remember my last video and I showed you some shots of the wisteria, it was full and beautiful, but the cold has got it, and so it looks sad. It's drooping a little bit, and I can tell that it's been bit back. And down here on the ground, you can see a lot of the wisteria blooms are blown off, and they're just covering the ground in a beautiful, beautiful purple little coating. But of course, hanging up underneath, it gives them some protection from frost and from the cold, but they're a little wilted. Yeah, the cold did get to them, but they're beautiful. I've enjoyed them this year. These lovely, lovely wisteria blossoms, they've been a real treat. This thing is always coming through when it comes to the blooming. You know, it's very, very beautiful. Over here is the second wisteria. We've got the fence really wired up because of our dog. You can see it over there. It looks pretty, so it don't look like the cold did too much damage in that area. It looks like the periwinkle's doing really good. Climbing up this little wall right here. It looks pretty this morning. These are some rocks that I've added. I've got to place them in the garden where they go. On a work day, when we get out here working again, we've got plenty of buds on the roses, so they'll be pretty. I think that's the first knockout rose right there. And then we've got other little blooms and buds along the way that'll be popping out before we know it. But it don't look like the cold has got too much. I can see the leaves look a little like they've been in the refrigerator, kind of. Some of the leaves that's up on top, the ones on the bottom are not so bad. But it is going to be cold again tonight. It's going to be below 30 degrees, so you know what that means. That means some things that are already blooming will have a shorter life because of the cold, you know, it'll shorten their life. Oh my goodness. Here's a columbine. That is beautiful. It's the light colored columbine. I used to have quite a few columbines in this area because they like shade, and I planted them in the shade of this rose bush. But it seems like a lot of them did not come back, so I'm happy to see this one come back. It's beautiful. I enjoy it being there. It's lovely. There's a lot of things that down here coming back. I've got to work in compost, so I don't want to cover up anything that's coming up out here that I want to include in the garden. The tulips and the daffodils are all gone. The kids' fairy garden. I've got to clean this stuff out. That was a mum that was planted for fall, and I see that a little bit's coming back, so I'll save that. And those ones that are dried up, I'll clean out of this so we can replant this beautiful planter. So it's not as bad as I thought it would be. I thought things would be frozen back way more than they are. I'm glad to see that it didn't affect anything too radically in the garden. I can see there's already something munching here on the clematis. I see some little places where something's feeding off of this thing. I've got to get out here and put some neem oil on it. You can see the clematis blooms. I love a clematis. They're beautiful. Mine do not get too big. It's kind of dry right here in this flower bed, and I'm thinking that might be the reason they don't get too big, but I'm happy with what I get. The easiest way to plant seeds is just like they naturally grow. Isn't this beautiful? There's two things that I love in nature that I love. That's a dandelion pod like this, a seed pod. Great memories from childhood of playing with these things. I'm going to just spread these on the yard today because they might be a weed to somebody else, but they're a valuable plant to me. Do you know there's nothing that quite cleans the liver like dandelion tea? So I'll take all the ones I can get out here in the garden. And the other one is a pine cone. Have you ever saw anything as amazing as pine cone? I absolutely love pine cones. I love the way they're shaped. I think they're pleasing. I used to just have baskets of them sitting in the house because I thought they were so beautiful. They are beautiful, and they make a little pine nut. Very, very interesting. The pine cones that we have here are a little different. We have white pine, so our pine cones look like this. I still collect them. Of course, you can only have so many. I have some big ones that a friend of mine gave me that's just super big from a pine tree near her. We've got these white pines, and we just planted them for privacy and for a little barrier here between us and the neighbors, and we are so thankful for them. But I cannot wait to get out here and get started in this garden, get started in this yard. But I have other things going on. I'm going to work with the seeds today. Madeline is loving on her babies. She brought 2 babies today. She's getting vitamin D. She sits out here with me sometimes, and the other kids do too. But that's how it is outside here. It has been really cold, and it's going to get down to below 30 again tonight. So we've got the tea trees planted. They're doing well. They're looking really good here. Both of them seem very happy, so I'm glad that they're showing up right here and doing well. Here's a Queen Anne's lace. You know, that's my favorite wildflower that my husband brought me for my birthday a couple of years ago. And I have been trying to reseed them to get them to come back every year. So this will be the 3rd year that these Queen Anne's lace will be coming up. Now this is just one plant that I see. I hope I have more. I think right here's one, a tiny, tiny one. So I've got to be very careful out here when I add anything to the garden, because I want to keep those precious things that I love in my garden. It's what makes my garden unique. What makes me love it the way that I do is all the wonderful things that I've added to it over the years, the changes that we've made, the sweet gifts that my family have given me, my children and my friends. This is leaning. I'll have to get out here, and me and Donald have to get out here and get this thing straightened up. It's leaning. Some Boston ivy did come back in this planter. I'm trying to contain it to that, not let it get out of there. Now let's go in and I'll share with you about my seeds. Whatever has been eating on my plants is desperate. That's a mint. I rarely have anything that eats on the mint. There's something chomping on it. Okay, so here are my tubs of seeds. Here's the oldest one that I've had, and here is the second one, and then I got a little one of new ones that I'll show you as I go along. In this big container, which is my oldest container of seeds, I've got seeds that are stored. Let me see if I can get this open. And they're just stored different ways. I've got some in a baggie. This is my favorite way of storing my seeds, is to put them in paper bags, label them, and use paper clips to hold them in. So these are zucchini seeds. Here are cantaloupe. And there's just some different seeds in here. Got some seeds that I've saved from my own tomatoes. Here are Rudiger's. Some different seeds that I've put in these bottles. And here I've got pale pumpkin, good for pies. And just a few odd and end seeds that I've collected out of the garden. And this is some supplies that I've got in here too. It's just like some bags that I've saved to put my seeds in. Paper clips that I put on these bags when I put my seeds in them. Just some supplies. Different seeds and containers. Those are loofah seeds. I try to mark everything. Those are not marked. I'm going to have to be careful about that. Be sure that I mark everything. But that's what's in this container. So I'll be going through that to see which of these I'll be planting again this year. And then here's my second container. Much the same thing. I've got seeds here in my brown bags that I've saved. Here are seeds that I've purchased in the past. And then over here, I've got the new additions that I've made. Over the few months, I'll go into maybe Home Depot, Lowe's, Tractor Supply, any place that sells seeds, and I'll look at their seeds, and I might pick up something that I want to try. There's also seeds that I've collected here, also in these little things. I thought about maybe going to a seed saving system like this, which is just a photo, a little photo box, and you put your seeds in each one, and it stores your seeds well. These are always things that are in my garden, always. I always have a pickling cucumber. I always have some kind of zucchini, some kind of yellow summer squash, tomatoes. Those are always a staple in my vegetable garden. And here are the tomatoes that we like best. This is a Garden Leader, a monster. a beef steak. Those are for sandwiches. My husband loves tomato sandwiches. These are Rudigers. This is one of the best cannon tomatoes that I have ever grown. So we always grow Rudigers. I learned this from Donald's grandmother. She always grew Rudigers. And then I saved seeds from Rudigers. Here are Brandywine. That was a favorite of hers. Here are 2 packs of Brandywines, and they are an heirloom tomato. And then, of course, I've got some herbs in here, some different things that I've picked up. And that's what's in these little containers right here. These are the things that I always grow in my garden. So if I don't plant anything else, these will be things that I definitely plant. I also have flowers and other things that I always plant. I always plant nasturtiums. Nasturtium is a staple in my garden, has been in my garden ever since I've started a garden 42 years ago. When I was on my own, when Donald and I married and we started our garden, nasturtiums have always been included. I love them. They have medicinal properties. They're natural antibiotic. And I grow them for their beauty and for their medicinal properties, which is the case for a lot of the flowers that I grow. They're not only beautiful, but they're also herbs. I think this one is chamomile. But here are some things I grew last year. If I come across a packet that's been opened and folded down with a paper clip, I know that I had those in my garden last year. So here's the yellow squash. There's the tomatoes. I have plenty of harvested marigold seeds from where I kept those. And then this is the other little container that I've got. Over Easter, I got to visit family. I got to visit my sister and her husband, my brother-in-law. And I had the privilege of getting to go through his seeds and picking out a few seeds that I wanted to put into my garden. And so I did that. He had these great little seed packets. And I was able to get a few seeds that I thought that I would love to add to my garden that he had that I didn't have on hand. And of course, he is welcome to go through my seed containers and pick out what he thinks that he might use. So I'm going to let him go through my seed containers when he comes to see if there's anything that he would like to take on. We were talking about dandelions outside. I've got these dandelions from Baker's Creek, the Japanese white, and there's another dandelion, a pink dandelion. I'll be growing these in my little garden. I'm going to put a little patch for these and see when I harvest these what I get out of them. I'm looking forward to that. Now see, that would be something that I wouldn't have in every garden. I would not have these dandelions in every garden. And some of this other stuff are specialties that I wouldn't have in every garden. But these would be something new that I didn't purchase that my brother-in-law shared with me. And I am looking forward to trying these. Now, of course, I've had a Cherokee Purple before, but I've got a few more of his seeds. Here's a cayenne. Just different little seeds that he let me go through his seed container and pick. The Abe Lincoln tomato. Boy, that's exciting. The bouquet deal, a fragrant, strong deal. I'm looking forward to that. So I'm going to try all of these new seeds that my brother-in-law Wayne gave me. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you for letting me go through your seeds and adding to my garden. That's a great thing about being a gardener. And that's the fact that it's a community. Gardening is definitely a community. Being able to look at other people's seeds, share your seeds, it's a wonderful thing. Being able to share your garden when it grows. I do that a lot through YouTube. I also have a group that comes twice a year and we tour our little gardens. My garden's small. They all have acreage, and it's amazing to see what each person under each circumstance can grow under their circumstances. So I enjoy that. That part of gardening, I'm looking forward to it. I am going to try to start seeds as soon as it's warm enough. I wanted to start seeds with you guys today, but it's chilly. It's just cold. It's going to get down to below 30 tonight. I'm just not going to start seeds until then. Our last frost date is between April 20th and April 30th. So somewhere in there is the last frost date. So we got to the end of the month to even really worry about setting anything outside, because it's going to get really cold. It's going to frost. It's going to be freezing. So I'm not going to set seeds out when it's like that. And like I said, there's a local greenhouse near us, and I'll be glad to take you on a tour of that when I go. So if there's something I don't have here that I need, I can just go ahead and buy seedlings this year. And I'm not going to stress it. I grow what I can from seeds, do what I can. But if circumstances change, then of course we just go right on ahead and adjust with it as it goes. I'm going to be going through these seeds, picking what I'm going to grow in my garden, and I'll share that with you when I plant. Thank you for joining me today. And like always, until next time.